Hello, everybody. Welcome back. So today I want to talk about the women's UK Open Blitz final. So it's a women's final, right? So the Open means like anybody can play. But Bodhana, she narrowly missed out, I should say, on qualifying through the Welsh to the Open Blitz final. Now it's very unclear how she would have done in that. She might well have won even the Open. The way she started the women's, I think she won her first 9 games or something ridiculous, right? And she's only 10. I mean, when I watch Badhana play, I feel like it's almost like when you watch like a champion racehorse or something like that. It's just like maybe that sounds a bit corny, but you could tell that they're a champion. It's like everything about her, like the way she acts at the board and everything, is just so impressive. She's got a great temperament, in my opinion, very mentally strong. So I think she's going to really do some damage over the next few years, hopefully. I mean, that's what we're hoping in English chess. Obviously, there's a danger with some of the stronger juniors as well that they could get tapped up by other federations. I mean, that's why we need to keep trying to look for sponsors in English chess because, there's a lot of money in the Indian Chess Federation, a lot of money in the American Chess Federation right now and other chess federations. But hopefully that won't happen. But Bod Hannah, anyway, just talking about her as an individual, is a great player. And yes, he narrowly missed on the Welsh qualification to the guy I lost to in the Open. So he's obviously quite a strong player, Daniel. Um, and he won the Welsh qualifying. It was only, again, a little bit unlucky because there only one qualifier. In previous years, he would have qualified for the Open. But she wanted to win the women's because I think she was twice. She was like she nearly won it when she was 7, apparently, which is insane, right? And that's what Natasha Reagan was saying on commentary. Anyway, if we look at some of the games, how did they go, right? So round one, Bodhana was white. How did her game go? So she's white, and she does play this system where it's very solid for her. I've seen Magnus Carlsen play this as well. And funnily enough, Zoe Varney actually played this system against Bodhana, the only game she lost in this event. She's playing against Madara, who I believe is from Latvia, right? And she was playing. She actually qualified via the qualifier I played in Newcastle. Um, so yeah, it looks quite nice for white here, like simple position. And I think one of the plans is you go c4 and you kind of put a bit of pressure on there. Black's hanging pawns. Classic strategy is go c4, put a bit of pressure on those pawns. I mean, the only thing I would say, I think if Bodhana wants to get to higher levels, he might need to sharpen up her opening repertoire a little bit because, if you're playing against, say, I don't know, like a lot of 2,500 players, you're probably not going to win with this strategy as white, right? They're probably going to be able to draw against you a lot of the time. So if you're going up to a level where you need to start beating these players, at the moment you can draw with a lot of these players, then you might need to play like more aggressive variations. So she does all this. The thing about Bodhana though as well, she's a very good endgame player. She's very good technically, especially for some of her age. She's confident in the endgame. Like here, she manoeuvres around a knight. Queen goes to f4. Quite confidently offering an exchange. Feels that she can outplay her opponent in the endgame. White has an advantage in the endgame as well because of potential minority attack on potentially gain a pass pawn on the queen side. Also can use d4 for the knight. So yeah, she's just confident that she's going to outplay her opponent. So at this point, yeah, this is just winning for white. She's got the pass pawns, and her play is so mature for her age. You'd think this is somebody playing who's like like a 30-year-old or something, right? So that game was a great game. Let's have a look. Any other games that she played? She drew with Eugenia, who's also a good player, a good young player. Um, round 10. No, hang on. Oh, that was round 10. We're looking at round 10, right? Zoe Varney won against Madara, but Bodhana won against Ellis Dyson. So, yeah, this is actually the line that I played in the final round. But my opponent went for early d5. Actually, no, I didn't play this move. I already put the knight on c3. So I don't know if black can go d5 at some point, but I think after d5 the idea is just to take and go d4, for example, maybe. I'm not sure. Also, you could consider after d5, you could consider going e5. I don't know if it's a good move, but then f6 is a little bit awkward. So probably going to take on d5. So knight f6 was played. And again, d5 might have been an option for black. But we had all this. Yeah, now Bodhana goes into like an open Sicilian position. So maybe knight b5 was a move. Because if queen b8 then bishop f4 with a little bit of pressure. But then you can go e5 or knight e8. I'm not sure that really gains much. So again, you know, typical verse style. So just playing natural moves. Not trying to do anything particularly special. And again, really confidently getting the queens off and thinking that she can outplay her opponent. Yeah, and here she just wins a pawn. So obviously black did something wrong there. Because she shouldn't have collapsed that quickly. I think if I was black here, I might consider maybe a move like knight d7. I don't know if that allows knight d5, because I'm thinking knight d7, knight d5, ed5, ed5, bishop b5, c4. But you do end up a pawn down there, right? Because you go bishop c4, bc4, rook c4. So, but you do get a bit of pressure on b7 at the end. It's probably not objectively not that great for white. But after knight d7, there's lots of other moves, lots of other ways that Bodhana can improve. I mean, again, even though it's an end game, there's a lot of pieces on the board. The game's just getting going. But I think d5 was maybe premature. Because if this, yeah, you don't really want to go ed. That looks unpleasant. There's also bishop b6 in the air after ed, or just take on f6 and try and win a pawn. So basically, this position's gone wrong. I think she just, yeah, this is now dead lost, I would imagine. Mind you, there is rook c2, I guess. Maybe I'm jumping the gun a little bit, but now you're going to lose b7 as well. And again, yeah, very confident endgame players, very impressive. You know, what can you say? Great game by Bodhana again. So now she's like 2 pawns up, right? And she just, yeah, again. I mean, she's playing like a GM basically. I mean, I think Bodhana will make a GM norm fairly soon, actually. That's my prediction, within the next year. But, I mean, okay, round 11. So by this point, we're getting to the crunch of the tournament. Is this game actually? This is also quite a promising young player, Shambhavi. I've seen her play. I think she played Coventry as well. And yeah, this is actually quite impressive play again by Bodhana. Yeah, I love the way she's just created a passed A pawn here. So she's just a very, very strong player. And, you know, to be fair, she probably outclassed this field because she's played at a higher level. I mean, she recently beat a GM, a former women's world champion. And obviously a lot of the players in this field aren't up to that level, if I'm entirely honest. I mean, they're good players, but, you know, that's on a different, like, you know, trajectory to most chess players. And then, yeah, she basically just crushed her in the end, but possibly white should have escaped. Again, like, you know, if you've got more time, you might be able to figure out how to defend these positions, but with no time, you know, she's just getting these slightly better positions where people just can't figure out how to defend them. And she also played a good game against Carmel, who I believe is from Manchester area. Probably a player that people aren't that familiar with. I might have been tempted to go knight e2 here as well, because sometimes knight goes to g3, but then that also becomes vulnerable to h5, h4 ideas. So knight a2 makes a lot of sense, and then just attack. Again, simple play, right? You know, you attack the pawn. There's nothing pretentious about it. You just attack the pawn and you get a knight onto a good square. So it's all very simple chess. You develop the knight. It's the simplicity of the style that is quite impressive. And e5 again, natural talent, right? e6, took. Yeah, so by this point, white's just completely winning. So very, very impressive game by Bodhana. Black hasn't done that much wrong, I wouldn't have said. And then knight comes in, so that was a really impressive game. And I also thought the final round was a great game by Bodhana. So he did lose against Zoe, who, yeah, again, Zoe's a good player. I think Zoe's just not a very confident blitz player. To be honest, she kind of had a bit of an up and down tournament. There's some pretty good players in there. There's also Camilla, who's a very good player. You obviously got Elmira, who's won this before, and is also the reigning English women's champion, or UK, like British classical champion, right? Reader is a good young player as well. So it's quite a strong field, actually. But yeah, I mean, I think Bodhana is on a different level to a lot of these players. And this is a semi-Slav, right? So Queen c7, again, natural move. I don't know if it's also possible to go Queen e7 as well. Queen c7 feels quite, yeah, this, again. I like the way he puts both rooks in the centre. That's what Karpov, it's one of Karpov's trademarks, apparently, I was reading. They love to put his rooks on e8, rook on d8. Another great positional player, right? And clearly the threat is now to, you know, but he sees that like instantly. I mean, literally he plays that move like without even thinking, right? You know, and I think this is the same girl that won the tournament last year. And basically, like you see, like again with the same thing with Bodhana that you see with Stanley. The clock management is great because he's like massively up on the clock, right? And she's just playing natural moves very quickly, not really thinking about it. You know, not worrying. There's no scar tissue there. She's just playing the good moves, and it feels like black. I mean, G5 actually surprises me. I might have been tempted to G6 actually, but then yeah, she understands if the idea is to go F4, right? So actually, that's quite clever because I think a lot of inexperienced players would go G6 and F4. I mean, I probably would have gone G6. I mean, probably black's still okay here as well. You could just move the bishop, right? But G5 is like a move of a confident player. So thought about it for a while. It does give away the F5 square long term, which I'd be slightly concerned about. I might have been tempted with F3 actually. F3 and then go knight F5. I would have been like a little bit nervous about playing G5 just because it gives away the F5 square. I mean, objectively, this is probably close to equal, but what does the engine say? Yeah, so maybe G5 wasn't the best. Yeah, G6 was better, but okay, whatever. So I think, yeah, white probably didn't play. I don't like the idea of trading the bishops, because I think when you've got weakness like that, you want to keep more pieces on the board. And now it's easier for black to deal with that weakness. You know, when I say like weakness, a weakness on F5 square. So now it's quite comfortable for black to deal with that weakness. And yeah, knight e5, good move. King f6. Yeah, now she just took off. Yeah, and I remember watching this at the time. I was watching this live. Just finished my game. And she went bishop d5 like instantly, right? And so confident. It's just like the whole body language. Bishop d5, best move. Attacks pawn. Just wins the game effectively. Great move. Okay, simple, but still great move. And basically just dominating in the endgame and dominating a lot of these games in the endgame. Really, probably like I was just on a crazily high level at the endgame already. Certainly much better endgame player than me, that's for sure. But Yeah, so I think the real test for Bodhana, so she won this game, let's just see the final moves, will be, I would say, obviously, like next year, she'll probably, I reckon she'll probably qualify, right? But I don't know, I mean, it's difficult to say. But at some point, she's going to qualify for the Open. And it's going to be interesting to see, you know, like how she gets on because I think she's, you know, like David Howe said in that TV show, she's probably the most scariest player, you know, in English chess, right? People are most afraid of for a reason. She's not a scary person, but she's a scary chess player. So anyway, that's great for Bodhana. Brilliant. She won a UK title at the age of 10. Scary to win a national championship when you're only 10. And also she went into it as top seed as well. By the way, there's other good young players in there. There's also this player called Tara, who's very young. She's only, I think she's only like 9 or something. She's quite a good player from Sheffield. So a lot of good players there in that field. Great event. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe so the video can get promoted on the algorithm and I'll get more subscribers. Thanks again.